Hey there, it's Aaron, and it is 8 minutes before midnight on May 5th, 2016. I just feel like I want to talk about Savatage because I figured I got a lot by them. I don't have everything, but I have a lot of their discography, and just talk about the history of the group because they're pretty unknown, although they are more popular under another name, Trans-Siberian Orchestra. That would be the cat right there, Domino. He's hanging out with me here. Alright, so Savatage. Who are they? For those of you who are unaware, Savatage are a heavy metal band that I think originally came from Florida. Right. They formed around 1981 to, they originally formed under the name Avatar, and then they changed it to Savatage. I think it was because there was already another band called Avatar. They made a couple of albums, and then sometime in the mid-1990s, they found success after releasing a single from the album Dead Winter Dead, which was Christmas Eve, the Christmas Eve song. Took that success and put it into a group called Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Now, there are going to be a lot of people who have heard of Trans-Siberian Orchestra, but not a lot of people who know Savatage. Which is understandable because Savatage, weren't very commercially successful, but I think most of, avid rock music fans and avid metal fans would know who they are. I discovered Savatage by watching VH1 Classic, and they would air the videos for Hall the Mountain King and Gutter Ballet on there, on Metal Mania. I think that's what they still call it there, on a VH1 Classic. And I watched the videos on there. They would play them, and I liked them. And then I researched about them, and then come December 2004, my mama took her boyfriend, me, and a friend of mine from church to go see Trans-Siberian Orchestra. And it was kind of slow. It was kind of a slow show. But as it went on, I began to like it, and I remember at one point in the concert, one of the guitar players introduced himself and was telling a story saying, people come up and ask me, hey, Chris? So I established that, okay, the guitar is named Chris. Alright, so fast forward a few months later, my mom's on their website, the Trans-Siberian Orchestra website, and she's looking through the website and just learning about the band members and finds out, oh, there's 2 touring bands, I think. I think that's what she found out. She's looking through the whole list of people and the players and whatnot. And I see on there, and I told her that, well, I remember that the guitar said his name was Chris. And right on there it said Chris Cafferty. And I thought, hold on a minute here. That sounds familiar. So I got this huge tome of a book, some of you might be familiar with it, the Encyclopedia of Heavy Metal. I got it out, opened up the book, and yep, put 2 and 2 together. Savatage and VSO are basically the same band. But the thing is that they are 2 touring bands, and they both share members of Savatage. So that's the story with them. But for this video, I'm going to be talking about Savatage and talk about their albums and what my favorite songs are. Again, I don't have everything that they've recorded, but I'll try and see what I can do here. I've got more of their albums than the ones I don't have, so I think I just don't have 3 of them. Now, in terms of the lineup, Savatage was mainly formed by 2 brothers, singer and pianist, keyboardist John Oliva, and guitarist Chris Oliva. With Savatage, their first album was Sirens, released in 1983, and I have it on my iPod here. I got it from Amazon's MP3 store, just because the CD was too much. But if you get the CD now, it comes with the EP, The Dungeons Are Calling, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I considered getting it on CD just so I could have the EP, but I ended up getting just the album. So, Sirens. Good album. It's good. Some good songs on here. But compared to what was to come later, not as good, but it's still a pretty consistent album. For favorite songs, I like the title track, I Believe, Holocaust. It's hard for me to remember some of these songs. Twisted Little Sister, I guess, was pretty good. I think Scream Murder Out in the Streets. I feel that the second half of the album is a little weak, but it's a pretty good first album. Is it a place to start? Probably not. Now, after Sirens, they released another 2 albums. Those albums I do not own. The second one they released was Power of the Night, which gets some mixed reviews I'm seeing. I think people prefer the debut. I mean, I have yet to hear it, but from what I hear, it's okay. And then the album that came after that was Fight for the Rock, which I hear is deemed their worst album, and for a particular reason. From what I know about the band and about that album, is that John Oliva had written a bunch of songs for, I think, John Norum, the singer-songwriter John Norum. So John Oliva had all these songs written for this one artist, and then I think the record label just said, no, why don't you record those songs and make it your own album? And it really wasn't written for Savatage to perform. I mean, it was more for an AOR, sort of, radio-friendly rock, hard rock band. After that one, they released a very good album. In fact, it might be their best one. The fourth one, 1987. Hall of the Mountain King. Great album. This is a good place to start, and this is where I started. Now, I got into Savatage, or first heard of them 2002, 2003, and I didn't get any of their music until 2011. So I got a little bit late for that, but still good timing. In terms of favorite songs on here, 24 Hours Ago, Legions, which has a great bass line. Strange Wings is good. Hall of the Mountain King. White Witch is a good fast rocker, and Devastation. Yeah, this is a very consistent album. And in terms of Savatage albums, this is the first album produced by Paul and Neil, who would become an integral part of Trans-Siberian Orchestra as I guess their conductor or composer, or the band leader in some ways. Yeah, he played a very important part in Trans-Siberian Orchestra, from what I know. So yeah, that was their first album with him. This is a pretty good place to start. I would recommend to start there if you want to get into Savatage. The next album that came up was Gutter Ballet. Another good album. This is when the band, I mean, maybe to some degree in the other on Hall of the Mountain King, I mean, with Paul and Neil producing, they became a little bit more of a, how do you say it, more of a theatrical band, like more like show, like Broadway sort of a way. Although this is still this has some pretty heavy riffs on here. It's still a hard rock album, still heavy metal. It really is a good album. I don't think it follows any sort of concept. I think it might have in some way, but I don't think there is any concept here. In terms of favorites, Of Rage and War, Gutter Ballet, When the Crowds Are Gone, the end of that song. How John Oliva did not lose his voice singing that last part is amazing. She's in Love, good one. Hounds, Mentally Yours. Yeah, this is a good one. I like All the Mountain King more. I think that's my favorite of the bunch, just for the record. No pun intended. But with Gutter Ballet, it's a good album. It's a good one. Right. And also for this album was when the guy I mentioned before, Chris Cafferty, he was added to the band, and I think he went on tour with them. But soon after that tour, Chris Cafferty left. And he wouldn't join the band until probably another, I don't know, I think 4 or 5 years. So, yeah, he was in the band briefly, so. They went back to a 4-piece band for the next album, which was a concept album. This one's a concept album. Streets, a rock opera. Streets is an interesting album. it's a bit different from what you would expect from another concept album. From what I know, it was originally a unfinished play that Paul O'Neill had written, and supposedly Chris Oliva had come across it and brought it over to the band, and they decided to make it into their next album. Now, what Streets is about, with trying to stay away from any spoilers or whatever you want to call them, it has to do with a rock star named DT, or Downtown Jesus, his nickname was. And he was a pretty famous rock star, but then he had his sort of 15 minutes of fame and was had no choice but to live on the streets. I think that's what the story is. And then somehow he gets off of the streets, he gets back in touch with his manager, and he's about to stage this comeback show, and then something horrible happens, which I will not spoil, but whatever that horrible thing is, the main character of DT, he spends the rest of the album looking for answers from people he knows on the streets, hence the name of the album. And they all have a song, and although I mean, they give you a synopsis here, but I mean, if you were just, I mean, the people that he approaches, it's not in the order that, I mean, you sort of got to pick the song where, oh, that's the one where he's talking to that person, or that person, or something like that. And it's very unique. And it's only like 2 pages. This is the, I know you can't read that from here, but yeah, you just read this. Like, read this before you listen to the album, and then you read along with the lyrics. The lyrics are all here. You can follow the story, and yeah, it's a very, very theatrical. Very, I mean, it was supposed to be a play or Broadway show, so that explains some stuff there. And from what I know, there is a reissue of this album, and apparently it has a narration on it, I think. I'm not too sure about that. I have not looked it up, but I would be actually pretty interested in hearing that. But good album. Don't start off with this. Maybe wait a little bit later. But it's a good album. All right, then after that, John Oliva decided to leave the band. Now, in my mind, he never left the band. In terms of touring, he did. He went off to form another group, I think. I can't remember. I don't know the band's name. I'll put an annotation. Again, with John Oliva, he didn't want to be the frontman anymore. He still played behind the scenes as the producer and whatnot, and he played keyboards on the albums that he wasn't the lead singer on. But in a way, in terms of touring, yeah, he wasn't the lead singer anymore. So they got a guy named Zachary Stevens, different singer, not a high range like John's, but a good singer nevertheless. And they made an album called Edge of Thorns, 1993. Good album, really good album. And I think all these 4 albums, these are like the 4 to get. Like, these are the 4 essential Savatage albums, I think. That's just me. But this is a good album. I like the title track. Carves in Stone, Lights Out. Conversation piece. There's some nice guitar work from Chris Oliva in here. Damien is my favorite on here. Yeah, this is a good one.